Sorry.
Hey guys, welcome to another 7 Stories video. We are doing something
a little bit different. Yeah, different than the videos we've done in the past, different than our camping stuff. We're going to start our venture into homesteading as much as we can in a urban area, urban setting, neighborhood area. So we're going to talk about kind of what we're going to do, what our plans are. It's beginning of February, which in Florida we can start planning pretty soon because it's Florida and it's beginning of February, but today it's like 75-ish, 78 degrees, something like that right now, and sunny. So we're going to just kind of want to take a beforehand video and talk about what we're going to do, what our plans are, and then just kind of walk through our homesteading process that we're going to do over the next few months and then continuing from there. We got a decent size backyard. It's not overly huge. Our whole property is maybe a 1/4 acre. So we're just going to try and organize it, set up the best we can, do some gardening, and trying to grow as many vegetables and stuff as we can just to help supplement our food and our budget. We've wanted to really get into homesteading and try different things really for multiple years. We've always known that we kind of wanted to do some of that. We've always done a little bit here and there. Last year we grew some tomatoes that didn't turn out real well, grew some peppers that worked really well, did some herbs and stuff like that that did well, but we've never kind of jumped in and done it full-fledged. And we really wanted to have a bigger piece of property to kind of do some of this stuff on, but obviously God led us to where we're at now, and this is where we are for the foreseeable future. And so we figured at this point in time we'll just jump in with what we got and work with the property and the space that we have and do as much as we can and just kind of learn as we go. So we've just been studying up for a while and just want to go ahead and kind of just jump into it and see where we can go. We've raised chickens before and had a really fun time doing that when we lived at another rental property where we had some more space, a few acres. So we're going to try our hand at raising some quail. They're smaller, easier to take care of, need less space, can still raise them for eggs and for meat. So we're going to try and do some of that, which we've never done before. We're going to get them, hatch them, and we'll kind of walk through that whole process as we get them and as we raise them. All along with raising 5 kids, as you can hear in the background. We've wanted, like I said before, we wanted to do this for years, but we've had kids very close together, so we were kind of our priorities were raising the kids when they were real little, and now that they're a little older, they can help out, they can be a part of this too. So now we're just ready to kind of get started. You can hear the gun range in the background going off nonstop. So anything else you want to add to that?
No, I mean, you work a full-time job, so
yeah,
and he does overtime, so first off, starting, it's going to be a little difficult, because we're going to have to take care of it, but we just thought it'd be interesting to video a family of 7 with kids that he works law enforcement and is gone a lot of the time, and see how we can do it, what happens, and bring y'all along on the journey of doing it.
Yeah. So for that, we'll just kind of show you our layout of our backyard and where we're going to put stuff, because obviously we don't want to take up our whole backyard. We've got dogs and kids that want to have space to run and play too. So we're just going to kind of show you what we plan on doing with the space that we have, and then that way, kind of as we go along, you'll be able to see how we've progressed, if our plans that we had for now turned out the way we thought they were going to, you know, how the garden goes throughout this year, and as it grows, see if it does as good as it does. If we have stuff that does good, then we'll kind of be learning some more and knowing what we can do better next year, or what we need to focus on more, that kind of stuff too. So we'll go show you around and go from there. So the fence is going to go pretty much straight across here. Like I said, I'm going to build just a simple-ish farm fence, some 4x4 posts, and some maybe 1x4, 1x6s on the front of it, and just put it straight across here. I'm going to put a gate on it, so just kind of separate that from from the kids area, so that we kind of have our own gardening area. So the fence will go straight across here. Right here on the corner of the house, butted up against the house, is going to be our shed, which is going to be about 8 by 10, so it'll be huge. So that'll come out to around here, and about here. So this whole section here is going to be where the shed is. We don't have a ton of space. We have a 2-car garage, but don't have a ton of space. We want to utilize all of our yard stuff out here, so it's right here offhand. Obviously the lawnmower and stuff, but also anything we're going to need for the garden. We just want it to be right here, so we can store it here, grab it when we need it, put it right back up, just to kind of keep things from getting cluttered really bad. And then we'll come down a little bit, and then right here, this little section here is going to be where we're going to put the quails, hopefully. Their pens doesn't be huge because it doesn't have to be huge because they're small birds, so they don't actually require a lot of space, and they don't free range, from what I've learned. They're ground birds, so we're just going to make a raised cage here, probably about a 4 foot by 8 foot or 4 by 10, something like that. Raised cage here, so we can have plenty of quail, because they're small, but so are their eggs. So you need to use multiple eggs. They're not like chicken eggs, and it's about, I think, 2 or 3 quail eggs equal 1 chicken egg. So we're going to get a good amount of birds so we can get some eggs to eat. We've never had them before, but we've heard they're really good, and then also probably eventually raise them as meat birds too, so that we can use them for meat, obviously. Then over here, kind of in this side, is this is side as it gets the most sun. The sun raises kind of on this side of our house over here and kind of comes across this way. So first thing in the morning, this area over here along that side of the fence is the first area that gets the most sun, the most direct sun. So we're going to put our beds kind of over there. Quails over here, where they get more shade. They're not going to be in the sun as much. So we're going to be do three raised beds over there, about 4 by 10 foot raised beds. Maybe another additional raised bed that's got a little bit smaller, depending on how much wood we end up getting. We get some wood from some family, so we're just going to use that, so we don't have to buy that. And then also we got some stuff that we're going to put in pots, maybe around here, or maybe some other stuff to grow up on a trellis here on this side of the fence, just to utilize all this other space that we have here, and just see how things grow. And as if we kind of get everything out here, we realize we got more space to do another raised bed. We may do another one out there. Like I said, we're a family of 7, so as much food and vegetables that we're actually going to eat that we can get to help lengthen our grocery bills, our grocery budget. I mean, the whole plan is we just want to try and produce as much of our own food as we can, and just see what works for us and what doesn't, and then just learn from that and change things up next year. And then outside of this main area, over here along the white fence, we're going to put some blueberry bushes, and then also a blackberry bush kind of in the corner, because it has to grow along the fence here, and see how that works. If it works really well, we'll keep that going. If not, we may move it somewhere else. And then maybe eventually do some other kind of fruit trees and stuff out in this area, and then just leave this area over here for the gardening and for animals and stuff like that, and just do as much homesteading on an urban footprint as we can. We'd love to have, a few acres to do things on a larger scale, but that's just not where God has us right now. This is where we're at, and this is where we're supposed to be. So we are going to make the most of the small area that we have and do what we can.
All right, so in the first part of the video, we were kind of talking about what our new homesteading venture was going to look like for us, what we were going to plant, or how we were going to plant the garden, where we were going to put everything, where we're going to put the quails and the fencing, all that stuff, and what we were going to do on the little bit of area that we have. So the first start of all this that we're going to do, which we're going to kind of show right now, is we are going to go ahead and start some seed planters indoors. So basically, and I'll show you in just a minute, we got a bunch of the starter cells like this. We got some good just bought soil. We're going to start with those. We kind of planned out where we want to plant everything and how we want to plant everything. We're going to plant those inside, because our last frost date here technically is around the 1st of March, middle of March, sometime in that area. So we're going to start these and then let them grow under some grow lights So then it's backwards. But anyway, grow under some grow lights, and then get them started. And then in about 6 weeks, we will transplant those outside to when our raised beds are put in place. And I'll video kind of putting the raised beds together and where we're gonna, and when we're putting those in place. And hopefully this will kind of give them a better start, and then we can kind of just go from there and keep feeding them and keep watering them outside so they can continue on. All right, so these are, like I said, the cells. These each one of these is, like, I guess, considered a cell. So we're gonna plant probably 2 or 3 seeds in each one of these, depending on the seed, depending on how far you plant it into the soil, and then of course how far apart. Out here doesn't matter how far apart, because we're just getting them started. And then outside, when we plant them actually in the beds, obviously we'll go according to each vegetable, how far apart they need to be depending on how they grow. A lot of them are going to actually grow up on a trellis because they vine really, really well, and that also saves us space, being in a backyard setting, not in a farm setting. So anyway, these are the cells. Like I said, these are the grow lights that are going to go built. Same company that makes them goes right over them. We don't really know much about this company or how they go. We just bought everything pretty much that we needed at Lowe's to get us started, and we go from there. We've just got a good bag of soil to get us started. Kim's, like I said, filling up each one of these, and then we're also going to label obviously what everything is, so we know. And we've just been taking notes on anything. We actually have their notebook here, and I'll show you some of that. We also have a bunch of herbs and spices and stuff, but I think Kim is going to just direct plant those once winter for us is officially over. But anyways, yes, we got cucumbers, a couple different kinds of cucumbers, some that are good for pickling, others that you're just going to straight eat. Onion, we have onion, but we're not 100% sure that we're actually going to do onion. Might be kind of not the perfect time for us on that. Pole beans that are really good for vining. We also have my mom and dad that did a ton of pole beans last year, and they saved seeds from those actual beans they grew last year, so they give us some of those. Banana peppers, rainbow blend of bell peppers, sweet peppers, some squash and zucchini, cantaloupe, which is also really good vining, and some tomatoes. And then we're going to do some other stuff, and it's going to be separate in other stuff that's going to be separate in some grow bags or pots that's better for rooting type vegetables, which will be sweet potatoes, what else am I missing? Carrots possibly. That's pretty much it. And those are root vegetables, so as far as we have learned so far, that the root vegetables are going to be best. They don't like to be planted in here and then transplanted, because they grow so much and all the vegetables are on the roots. The roots don't like to be disturbed, so we'll plant those in a few weeks outside when we transplant all of this stuff. So like I said, this is a book we're keeping notes, everything in. For one, just for our personal records. Two, just so we know what we've done this year, how it works, and if we do more stuff in the future, just so we can look back and see where we started from. It's just like a rough plan of the house, the backyard, our layout area of what we got, the spacing. This is our first sketch of how much actual space we were going to have to work with. This is our kind of layout here of that area, the shed, where the beds are going to go, where the quail is going to go. Just a good layout. And then we also actually laid out each bed as far as the raised beds that we're going to make, and kind of how we're going to space them out, where we're going to plant stuff, just so everything's recorded. So that way, you know, next year when we're doing it, say, okay, that did really well there, or that did terrible there. We need to try and figure out something else. And then there's our third bed as well, which is going to be a little bit longer. So we'll kind of go over that as we're planning them too. We are starting this in our garage, and this is pretty much, we just cleared out a space on this side of our garage to be able to set our table up and start this process.
We are doing banana peppers in these, so I already went ahead and put the dirt in the cells and just counted how many we need. And we're actually doing a little bit more than what we need, just in case some of them don't take and germinate. These on the back of the seed packets, and these are just from Lowe's, but I am hoping to get some heirloom seeds and open pollinated seeds from Azure or some actual seed catalogs. His mom, as he mentioned, has given us, I want to say it's the Tar Heel beans and pole beans that you can't get anymore. She got those from Melissa Norris, I think, is a really big homesteader lady, and she has a podcast and a YouTube channel and all that.
Literally beans that you can't buy anymore. They have to have been passed down by other people that have been growing them. Very specific type bean that you literally can't even buy anymore. It's people that are passing it down to other homesteaders, other farmers, and other generations of people that they've been growing for multiple years, I guess, and at this point, which is just something really cool, because once you kind of start this process, you know, there's ways to save your own seeds so that eventually you can literally just be living off of, or to an extent, living off of the things that you're growing, cultivating your own seeds, so you don't have to, you know, go somewhere else to buy all of them anymore. So
yeah. So anyway, we're just using the Lowe's seeds for right now, which is perfectly fine. We'll see how they do. But here on the back it has the depth that you're supposed to plant them, and I think the peppers are 1/4 inch, so it's really not that deep at all. And then for the pole beans, it's 1 inch and 1/4 depth. So we graphed out our garden, figured out how many plants we can fit in our garden appropriately to what they need to give them space, and then we went ahead and wrote down, you know, how many we need of each cell, each seed to plant. So anyway, we're starting with the, I think right here is mixed peppers, and so since they're so shallow, I don't really need anything to give them a hole, but with the beans I'll be using, I guess, a pencil and just sticking a hole down in there and putting the bean in. So once we get done with this process, Casey already put dirt in this one, then we will speed this up, let you see that, and let you know how it goes.
And while she's doing that, another, she's continuing working on that, I'll show one other small project that we're working on getting started. One other thing, while she's working on that my work, another big part of what we want to do homesteading wise is creating a very good a very good type of soil that we can, or compost that we can use. So, you know, we live in a neighborhood, and our neighborhood itself is only a couple years old, so of course, you know, they came in and had to dump loads of fill dirt or whatever it is that they used. So we don't really know how well our actual dirt in the ground of our yard is going to be. It's one reason we're going to do raised beds, so we can kind of control that and give us the best possible outcome to grow as much as we can. Also, another thing we want to do, continue to add to that, is doing our own compost. We're going to be doing the quails. So the quail manure supposedly is great to add to a compost. Of course, it has to be broken down before you just add it directly onto your garden or your plants, bushes, things like that. So a lot of people will just do them, you know, they'll just, on their property, they'll make a section, board off a section, pallets or whatever, and where they just kind of throw everything and start a compost. We don't have just tons of space. So one thing we're gonna do is, which I've been reading about, is starting using an old, says mom and dad on there because it used to be used for laundry, because we have so much laundry. But anyways, right now it's just we use to store stuff in our garage. So we're gonna be using this trash can, take the drill some holes in the bottom, drill some holes in the side, and then start our compost in there, pulling stuff we can use, obviously, a lot of green stuff and brown stuff, basically what they say. So we have woods that we can get some brown stuff, dead leaves, dead pine straw, stuff like that, since we don't really have a bunch of trees in our yard right now. And then also we can discard our, you know, our excess fruit waste, vegetable waste, kitchen waste, eggshells, all that kind of stuff, along with, once, like I said, once we get the quails going, the quail manure. That way we can just repurpose that into feeding into our vegetables, feeding into our fruit trees, whatever things that we grow, and which produces back for us. So I'm just gonna take this. It's something we already had. We can repurpose it. Doesn't literally cost us no money at this point to start this. Drill some holes in it, take the stuff in here out, drill the holes in it, get it started with some leaves and stuff from the woods. I'm gonna have the kids help me do that, collect that stuff, put that in there, put a little bit of this soil that we're using for these seed starters in there to kind of just get it going, start that natural chemical reaction going, and you know, a few months from now, hopefully, prayerfully, we get some good soil that we can put into our garden and just give it back to us. So plant knows, got to put some of those under, obviously a little bit, just getting all the seeds where they need to go, getting a little bit more dirt in there. And then another thing of what we learned, like I said, we're kind of learning, obviously a little bit of this we know, a little bit of this we're learning as we go. But another thing that we said is the best thing for these is to I don't know how you say it, but basically water them from the bottom water, or whatever, however they call it. So basically each one of these cells, you can see an empty one here, is got an opening near at the bottom. So they sit in this tray, and then the easiest way to do that, what we ended up doing, is just cutting one of the cells out here so we can just pour water straight into this tray, and then that water goes all underneath each cell from the tray. It absorbs as much water as it needs. As we see that it needs more water, we just put more water in there. Like I said, they're going to be under the grow lights, and then once it gets closer time, we'll start slowly exposing them to the actual sunlight and to outside, so once they sprout and then get used to that, to be transplanted. But basically, so that way you don't come around dumping a whole bunch of water on top of it, especially when the seeds aren't sprouted yet. They could be moved around. The seeds could jump to another cell. They could pop up too high. They could sink down too low, which could potentially cause none of them to germinate and sprout. And obviously we're doing this to try and get the best case scenario for us to get as much stuff sprouted really well and hopefully transplanted to grow really well. So I'm gonna, like I said, bottom water all those to give it the best possible chance to survive and work. And then we're gonna set them up on the grow lights literally right here on this table and run that. While she was doing that, probably here I was doing drilling all my holes for the starter compost. Literally just a bunch of small holes there on the bottom and on some of the sides, so that it can get air, get oxygen. And like I said, it's just one of the cheap, was a 32-gallon trash can that we got from Walmart a while back. Never actually added trash in it. We used it, like I said, for clothes, but we're gonna start this. We'll go ahead and start this in the backyard, and we'll get this started today because we actually started saving some scraps and stuff for it. So we got some food scraps and stuff, some eggshells, chicken egg shells and stuff from cooking eggs the other day. We're gonna get that started today. Anyways, this is the final setup here for the seed starters. And I just noticed that this light is not quite as bright. It seemed quite as bright as this grow light here that we have. You can see this one's real bright. That one seems, it's hard to tell on the camera. That seems maybe not quite as much, but it looks better actually now that you've maybe it just wasn't plugged in all the way. It looks better. So anyways, you can see here we got, like she showed probably earlier, we got everything labeled on there so we kind of know what's what. And there's a few open spots like down here on this end where we're going to get some more pole beans and start those in the next couple days, the ones that we're going to get from my mom. So we will give an update on these I guess here in a few weeks, see how they've been doing once they start sprouting up, and show how they've been doing over the next few weeks, and then obviously when we transplant them. And now we're going to go quickly before the sun goes completely away. We're going to start the compost bin, and then that'll probably be it for this video. So that's where we're just going to put it just to start. Like I was saying, it's actually going to end up going over here once all this is kind of established. See, through the trees we actually get pretty awesome sunsets, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes. So with this, our brown stuff we went and collected from the woods. The garbage can we're just going to put over here in the corner. Hopefully the dog won't mess with it. We also got a little bit of bought soil that we used on our planters just to kind of put in there to get everything started. So Corbin, you want to pick up that bucket there?
Green stuff.
That's brown stuff.
No, it's green.
Oh, I'm going to put you in there because you're green stuff. All right, so go ahead and dump all that. Dump the whole thing down in there. All right, so probably don't need too much more of that stuff. It's made a pretty good layer. Push that down in there. And then, all right, this is our scrap stuff. Like I said, we've been collecting fruit, eggs, coffee grounds, coffee filters. It don't smell that bad. All right, go ahead and dump it down in there. There you go. Shake it all out.
Everything is out.
Oh, okay. All the juice. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't even stink. So anyway, so that's some of that stuff. Like I said, if we had some grass clippings, weeds, stuff like that, we would we would put that in there too, right along with the food scraps. We don't have a lot of that. I know one big thing they said is to kind of, when you put the yeah, that's Rex's Creepy baby that he's been chewing on.
He stole him his baby.
Yeah, he stole him his baby. Oh, there he goes. You're getting it. Oh, don't kick the dog. He's gonna be mad at you. There he goes with his baby dog. Weird dog. All right, anyways, back to this. So we're gonna put some of this soil, kind of cover this on top. That's the one thing that's helped with this smell. And most places say once you this chemical reaction is done right, it really won't smell because it's just breaking down. All right, when you want to pick up that soil there, and don't dump all of it, but try and kind of sprinkle it around over as much as you can over the top of that rest of that stuff there. Yeah, kind of on this side too, kind of cover it a little bit.
I'm gonna stop.
Just go ahead and dump the rest of it over kind of where the eggshells are. That should be good. Is that all of it? Okay, all right. All right, now Corbin, take a couple handfuls. Don't dump it, just a couple handfuls. That's probably a little too much. There you go. All right, kind of sprinkle that over what we got there. Kind of just give it a thin layer. That's fine. Yeah, so we'll just kind of leave it right there just to kind of get it started. And we'll just leave this here so we can continue to add to it. And then we're gonna take the lid, put the lid on there. It's nothing, so kind of the heat, like I said, it's got the holes on the side and on the bottom, so hopefully that'll be the start of what we're doing. Starting the compost, starting seeds, and then eventually, hopefully, we'll turn this into a big area of hopefully producing many vegetables for us in the months to come, and enjoy it in the process. Because while we don't have a bunch of property, a bunch of acreage, we really do love our view and what we have from here, because it is really pretty. Just to still be able to admire God's creation, God's handiwork, and try and do things as naturally as what he kind of created things to be. So I guess that'll pretty much end this video from here, and we'll just leave you with this sunset, and then here in a few weeks we'll kind of update you as we're going forward with building the raised beds, building possibly the quail pen, getting the quail eggs, starting to hatch them through the incubator and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do all of that. So we'll update you again here in a couple weeks, how the seeds are doing, how the compost is doing, and just what the next step in this entire process is. All right, thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you next time.